Everyone requested to kindly switch off their video and audio. Please, everyone, please switch off their video and audio. Every participants are requested to kindly switch off their audio and video.
Okay.
Mafizul Islam, please turn off your audio. Mafizul Islam, please turn off your audio.
Except dignitaries and the guest and resource persons. All other participants are requested to mute yourself and to make your video off. Please cooperate us. সুজন বর্মন, তোমাকে বলা, সুজন বর্মন আপনাকে একটু স্ক্রিন প্রেজেন্টেশন করতে নিষেধ করা হচ্ছে। যদি আপনি বন্ধ করতে না পারেন আপনি লিভ করে আবার জয়েন করুন। সুজন বর্মন, প্লিজ। Professor Sonil Som. Actually, our honorable VCs are with us, and also the resource persons, Dr. Partho Pratim Das is with us, and our principals are
Okay,
with us. So please start. It is
okay.
11, just 11. Please start.
Okay, sir. So shall we start, sir?
Principal sir, may we start? Principal sir.
Yes, please.
Okay. Start, please.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you. A very good morning to you, to all of you. A heavy, rainy good morning to everyone. Our honorable dignitaries, resource person, dear colleagues, beloved students, and all dear participants from different parts of the state as well as our country. Warm and hearty welcome to this online platform of Google Meet for one day national level webinar on National Digital Library of India, Transforming Education in India, organized by the PG Departments of English and Geography of Cooch Behar College in collaboration with the National Digital Library of India, IIT-Kharagpur. As we know, being digital, thinking digital, working digitally is the urge and need of present hour, standing in a pandemic phase where classroom teaching, learning, use of library for self-learning has almost been stopped. But we are the learned and the educationist, the most mandatory and requisite group of society, could not resist us sharing our knowledge or compiling our knowledge, whether among students or among ourselves, whatever the situation is. So, to conquer the situation, we are now in a new empowering situation of ourselves by transforming our art of teaching and learning and knowledge sharing process from the orthodox offline to a new normal digital online process by using several platforms. In this present context, this kind of workshop helps us a lot to achieve our target smoothly. Cooch Behar College is continuously and repeatedly organizing such kind of workshop, looking into a new venture and a new era of digitization. So let us start our today's program with the inaugural and welcome speech of our Honorable Chairman of the workshop and Principal of Cooch Behar College, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Debnath, sir. Sir, over to you, and you are requested now to give your lecture.
Thank you, Sunil. Good morning to one and all. So, today on 15th of September, we are going to organize one day national level webinar on National Digital Library of India, Transforming Education in India, which will be organized through this Google Meet platform. And this one day webinar is being organized by the Postgraduate Department of Geography and Postgraduate Department of English of Cooch Behar College in association with National Digital Library of India, IIT Kharagpur. First of all, I would like to convey my sincere thanks and welcome Professor Dev Kumar Mukhopadhyay, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Cooch Behar Pancharan Burma University. He is the chief patron of our today's webinar, and he has been constantly supporting us as a guardian, and he is really acting as the total inspiration of all our activities. So thank you, sir, for being with us again on this uh, online platform. I heartily welcome you, sir, on this today's webinar. We have with us at present Dr. Parthapratim Das, who is the only resource person of today's webinar. He is the Joint Principal Investigator, National Digital Library of India, IIT-Kharagpur, and Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT-Kharagpur. On behalf of the members of the Cooch Behar College family, I do heartily welcome you, sir, on this online platform of Google Meet. Though you are really so busy in your activities, really very busy, but still you have given us time to deliver your this valuable speech. Your deliberation will definitely help not only the students but also the teaching community of not only of our college but also of other institutions who have attended this today's webinar. So definitely your deliberation will highlight the importance of digital library and how this digital library will work and has been working also, and how the students and the teaching community can get benefit and can how use this platform uh, to have the benefit of using library in this pandemic situation especially. I think we all will be benefited, sir, from your valuable lecture. I again welcome you, sir, on this particular platform, and I also congratulate you to be with us despite your busy schedule. Thank you, sir, again from the core of heart uh, of uh, of me and of the other members of our Cooch Behar College. Within a very short time, uh, the Registrar of Cooch Behar Panchavan Burma University, Dr. Abdul Kader Safeli, will be joining with us, and he will also deliver his speech as the chief guest of this webinar. So uh, I am uh, welcoming Dr. Uh, Abdul Kader Safeli, and he is also constantly supporting us and guiding us also in different conducting different activities of our college. So thank you, sir, for being with us always. I would like to convey my heartiest thanks and congratulations and welcome also all the participants of this today's webinar. And nearly more than 700 participants have registered on this today's webinar, and mostly 250 of them can view these platform Google Meet, and others will use this YouTube platform. So naturally, this is a very big platform of more than 700 participants. You are all welcome, and definitely you will be getting certain benefits from the valuable speech of our distinguished resource person, Dr. Parthapratim Das. Again, I am welcoming all of you, all the participants, the students and the teachers and the academician and the administrators who are who are here and have joined to listen this webinar. I would like to thank and congratulate and welcome also the members of the organizing committee, the conveners, Dr. Tapan Kumar Das, the coordinator, Department of uh, Geography, post PG Department of Geography, Cooch Behar College, and Professor Tariqul Islam, Assistant Professor of PG Department of English, Cooch Behar College, the Secretary, Sri Binoy Sharma, who is the librarian of our Cooch Behar College, and also all the members of the organizing committee. I would also like to thank uh, our members of the governing body for their constant support and help, and also uh, like to convey my sincere thanks to our president of the governing body, Sri Mihir Goswami. He is always guiding us, and he is also the source of inspiration of all the activities of our college. I also thank the other teacher members of our college and also the non-teaching staff of the Cooch Behar College. Thank you again, all of you. And I think, I hope also that today's webinar will be a very successful one and will be a very fruitful one. Thank you. Thank you again, all of you. Over to Sonal.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your speech, and hope this workshop will will be a grand success like the earlier ones. And now I would request Honorable Chief Patron and the Vice Chancellor of Cooch Behar Panchanan Burma University to say a few words to us, and whose encouragement and support has constantly encouraged us to organize such kind of workshops repeatedly. Sir?
Thank you, Sonal. Thank you very much. Very good morning. Just I have come to know that Cooch Behar and other surrounding areas now have been inundated with heavy rain. But sitting in Calcutta, I'm experiencing something different. Here it is too hot, and actually we have been suffering from hot weather. However, very good morning from here. Thank you very much for inviting me in this webinar. Thank you. At the very outset, I express my sincere thanks to the principal, Cooch Behar College, and also the Department of Geography, Tapan Das, who is taking initiative always and inviting me for all the programs you are taking there. Whenever I used to get managed time, I generally like to join you for saying something. Though I do not belong to this discipline, and one expert already is there who will be delivering lecture on this topic, I think his lecture and his deliberation will benefit all, his lecture will give him sufficient information to all the participant teachers, scholars. So far, I understand, virtually this digital library, it is an old concept. It was virtually discovered 100 years ago. And after that, in 60s, it was developed. But ultimately, when internet facility is available, since then, digital library has become very much important. And all the countries, and all the especially developed countries, European countries, American countries, all the universities, they have developed so much in this digitization of their libraries. Our problem is something different, as because our institution, colleges, universities are located in the remote rural area of India. And here what happens, though institution is taking initiative to make their libraries digitized, but the problem is that the stakeholders, especially students, and our research scholars, and also a section of teachers, they are not in a position to get all these benefits of this digitization, as because I know, as because I am always in contact with my students, and I know in several parts of our locality where students do not get this facility due to poor internet access. Two things are there. Certainly expert is here and he will be telling so many things, so many information he will be giving. But one thing is that to me, as because I'm involved with this activities since long, and first thing is that what I experienced from my first part of my administrative life, academic administrative experience, that when we digitized our library, then it was not connected with the internet, but the students used to come to the library and get facilities sitting inside the libraries. That is one type of digitization. That is the digitization to some extent or to the limited extent, where one student, teacher or scholar sitting in the library, he can get access to all the information which is situated, which exists in the library itself. But second part is that when it is connected with the web, that is when it is connected through internet, then this information is actually passing from one institution to another, from one place to another, from one country to another. Nowadays, students, teachers, scholars sitting in one country, for example, sitting in Cooch Behar, our students, our teachers, our scholars can get information from any good library in United States of America and also European countries, and getting access. Also few days back, I was giving some information or delivering some inaugural lecture in some other webinar where I told that some informations, two types of information, digital informations are there. One is free, another is you have to pay for that. For example, there are so many libraries in the United States of America, Europe, and there are so many good libraries where you can get access free of cost. But for example, JSTOR, for example, if you want to get information from American library, for example, you want to get information from British library, you have to pay something. You have to be member by giving your membership fees. Or for example, JSTOR, one educational institution has to be member of that very organization, and then only you can get information through this digitized mode. So there are two parts. However, the most important thing is that we have to think whether our students will get benefit from these sources, from these digitized sources. And for that reasons, our students should get access. They should have good internet facility. They should have modern electronic gadgets. They should have computer facility. They should have laptop facilities. All these facilities they should have. After that only they will get this facility. So our challenge is very much high. And now I will conclude my lecture by just mentioning one thing. That is, under this pandemic situation, when Corona hits our civilization, when Corona hits our educational institution, only then will we understand that what type of challenge we are facing. Students are not able to come to the library. Students have to sit. One day, just few days back, when I was talking to my student, he was telling that, sir, how can I prepare myself for the examination? I am not in a position to go to the library. This is the challenge that we are facing here. And our duty, our responsibility, our collective responsibility is to make our libraries digitized in such a manner so that our students, our scholars, and lastly our teachers should get access to the libraries through this digitized mode and through internet facility. That is the greatest challenge we are facing nowadays. So it is the state, it is the government, it is the educational institution, it is the university and all the colleges who will have to take the responsibility, have to take the duty to make them aware, to make them provide to get that facility. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, Cooch Behar College, for inviting me here again and again, for saying a few words and giving me opportunity to say something. Thank you. Over to Sonal. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Devkumar, sir, for his nice words and being a benefactor and supporter always for us. And also what he told that it's a challenge for us to being digitized. What I have already told, that being digitized is a challenge in front of us. But now let us move on to our next program. So I would like to welcome our respected chief guest and the registrar of Cooch Behar Panchanan Burma University, Dr. Abdul Kader Safeli sir, to say few words. Sir, are you there? Please, sir.
No, please, Sonal, proceed.
I think he is not available.
Sir will join soon. Okay, proceed.
Okay, sir. So as we know, the National Digital Library of India is a project under Ministry of Education of Government of India. And its objective is to collect and collate metadata and provide full text index from several national and international digital libraries, as well as other relevant sources. It is a digital repository which contains textbooks, articles, videos, audiobooks, lectures, simulations, fiction, and all other kinds of learning media. The NDLI provides free of cost access to many books in the Indian languages and also in English. So this is the actual background of organizing this workshop, and keeping this in mind, our most active and enthusiastic person, who is the convener of the workshop and an eminent and renowned professor of Department of Geography of Cooch Behar College, has always been a pioneer to make us digitally empowered and has organized such nice workshop. So now I would request Dr. Tapan Kumar Das, the convener of the program, to address the spectators of the meeting.
Thank you, Sonil. Respected Chairman and the Principal Sir of this college, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Devnath, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Cooch Behar Panchan Verma University, and Honorable Registered Sir, my colleagues, and of course, Professor Partho Sarathi Das, Professor of Computer Science Department, IIT-Kharagpur, and the learned participant, the beloved students, my colleagues. It is well known to everybody that our college has already introduced the master degree course in geography, that is MSc in geography, and English, that is MA in English, and we have started online classes, but we pointed out some lacunas. So we are also planning to introduce a world-class learning content management system module from the coming month, October 2020. That's why we are designing our e-contents in the 4-quadrant model as per UGC guideline, so that our students, especially the PG students of geography and English, can learn step by step, easily and smoothly from their home, in spite of prevailing network issues. But I personally feel the acute need of such program when our students as well as professors finds no library books readily because the library are closed. And they are inclining more and more towards learning content management system, digital libraries, open access resources, and learning object repositories. So it is really an excellent opportunity that we will now hear the live lecture of Professor Das, who is a pioneer personality in this field, and this program is being collaborated by National Digital Library itself. Definitely, it will help us to cope with the lacks of hard copy books as our college libraries are closed in these pandemic situations. Not only that, this challenge of pandemic opens an opportunity to explore the beauty of online searching and happiness of fulfilling our demand of not only in terms of study materials, books, journals, but also the audios, videos, cinemas, and lots of things for entertainment. Finally, I would say, as India fights COVID, the National Digital Library of India steps up to enable every learner of our country. It is our journey to provide an open access national resource that is available to anyone, anywhere in the country, to learn, share, and remove the crisis and transform education in India. And I am very much pleased to inform you that more than 700 participants had registered in this webinar, and we have already supplied them the YouTube link, and we are limited to accommodate only 250 50 participants in this platform, but all are requested to see the YouTube video, live video. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Over to Sonil.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Tapan Kumar Das. And now let us move on to our awaited technical session. And this time also, again, I would take the opportunity and introduce such a renowned and respected person whose name is enough as his introduction. Though it's a formality, but I do have to introduce him. Dr. Parthopratim Das is the Joint Principal Investigator of National Digital Library of India project of MHRD and leads the initiative to integrate the digital repositories of various institutions, agencies, and publishers across the India. He is a professor of Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT-Kharagpur, and also heads the Rajendra Mishra School of Engineering Entrepreneurship. Dr. Das received his BTech, MTech, and PhD degrees in the years 1984, 1985, and 1988, respectively, from IIT Kharagpur. He served as a faculty of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur, from 1988 to 1998. In 1998, he moved to the industry and served in senior management director positions till 2011. His current interests include computer analysis of Indian classical dance, technology, enhanced education, and software engineering. Most welcome to our eminent resource person, Dr. Parthopratim Das, and we are awaiting for your next lecture. Please, sir, please join with us.
Good morning.
Thank
Am
you,
I
sir.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Sonal. I'm really overwhelmed by the response that Cooch Behar College has shown. I'm really overwhelmed by the very warm words that Professor Devkumar Mukhopadhyay, the Vice Chancellor, shared with us, his vision of digital library. Actually, I'm feeling a little nervous because I must admit that some of the shortcomings that Professor Mukhopadhyay mentioned about digital libraries are still not solved. They still continue to plague us, but we are trying to do our best. Thanks to Principal Professor Pankaj Kumar Devnath for inviting me here, with Dr. Professor Tapan Kumar Das, who has been coordinating, other coordinators, and so on. So let me move on to the actual, I think, do I have the permission to present, madam?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Someone,
Please, the session is yours now, sir.
Saurabh
No, but
Ghosh, please stop
someone else,
presenting.
someone else is
Saurabh
presenting,
Ghosh
so I
is
can't.
here. Please stop presenting. Saurabh Ghosh, if you do not, if you could not stop your presentation, please leave and join again. Saurabh Ghosh. Oh, Saurabh Ghosh. Okay, sir, you start, please. Okay, start. Yeah.
Is it visible?
Yes,
could you
sir.
please, is it visible? Okay.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah, okay. And we all know the state of instability of connection. So if if I get lost, Professor Das, please call my number and let me know. Right? Because at times you can't even make out that you are lost. Okay. So thank you all very much again. And I'm told that there's a possibly a formidable number of participants to this event, running into several hundreds. So welcome you all, students, teachers, academicians, staff, librarians, whoever is connected to this in whatever way. So National Digital Library of India has its role cut out for transforming education in India. And it's really very appropriate to be able to talk about it in terms of our learning together on this platform. So just to give a little background on this, certainly in today's time, any nation needs lifelong education and knowledge for anyone, anytime, anywhere. Right? This is not something which was triggered by COVID, but this has been a requirement for long. And while we looked at this project, we started discussing this project with the ministry. At that time, it was MHRD, of course. In 2014, towards the end, and certainly the question was, how can, at the time of demographic dividend of the country, where so many of young workforce is coming into play, how can we get them properly skilled, educated, and through anytime, anywhere learning? That's the, I should say, the basic driving force behind getting on here. And certain specifics we looked at, which I would like to share a little bit for your understanding, because nothing much has changed in the last, since then, is in around 2014, FICCI and MHRD did a survey to find out in higher education as to what would it take to be able to provide higher education for all those Indians who are eligible for higher education. So that's pretty much a very legitimate aspiration of a country, that we would want our citizens, particularly on the verge of demographic dividend, to be educated, go to institutions and get the education. Now, if you compute on in terms of the volume of students that need to go to higher education and do a small computation, you find that if you take a span of 20 years, 20 years is typically the time a child takes to come to the level where higher education is required. In the span of 20 years, if this needs to be done, then we need to set up 270 colleges and 6 universities every month of these 20 years. 20 years has 240 months. And for every month, we need to set up 6 universities and 270 colleges to be able to provide education to all who need higher education for being able to support the economy in the demographic dividend. Certainly, this is not something. This is not no possibility. It is a theoretical impossibility to provide that, and that actually brings us to the reliance on digital technology, the technology enhanced learning, and all digital technology based approaches. Now, COVID certainly has tilted things somewhat extremely in the favor of digital. Sonal was very prolific in talking about, in telling us that we are breaking away from the orthodox and kind of getting into I do not know what, but then digital is the way to go. So that brings in the context of the digital library and two major motives that we decided to drive us on. One was open, that everything has to be open. It's not only Professor Mukhopadhyay talked about open content, open access, not only limited to that, it has to be open access in all possible kind, as far as possible. Open and free is what we are looking at. And it is open to the extent of using open software, using open infrastructure, so that there is the library belongs to everyone. The other aspect that certainly has been our motto is to be inclusive. India is a country of diversity, we know. So inclusiveness is a very basic necessity of our learning environment, our educational environment. We need to be inclusive in terms of languages. We have 22 official languages where education is given. We need to be inclusive in terms of levels of education, geographical diversity, disciplines, and so on in every possible way. So with those kind of vision in the background, we started off with the National Digital Library of India, kind of targeting towards a digital ecosystem for education, which would look somewhat like this. Uh, Thanks to the consistent support of the ministry and also partly recently to the pandemic of COVID, this ecosystem is getting matured very fast. So on one part of this is the knowledge repository, which is the National Digital Library of India that we have been building, which is available on internet and mobile, free access to about 3.5 crore learning contents to everyone, anybody, anywhere. But just having content does not get someone educated. So you need the delivery of the content, you need the teaching to be done. And that is where a whole bunch of online programs through Swayam Prabha are coming in. There are, it has matured into periodically executed, twice at least semester type of courses are conducted where students can attend over video, do assignments, take physical examination and get certificates, grades, and finally the lower piece, which is kind of stitching all this together in terms of a virtual educational environment, open university, virtual university, and so on, where you do a course in online, get a credit, and you can actually take it to your transcript. I mean, your college may not have been able to provide that particular course. The teacher may not have been there. Not all colleges, all universities can teach all programs, but with this openness, digital learning becomes reality and education become all pervasive. And that vision is been behind the major focus of National Digital Library of India. And as you all must have been pretty aware, that recently when the name of the ministry changed to Ministry of Education, we actually have launched the National Educational Policy. And if you look into that policy, it's an open document of the ministry. I'll request everyone, student, teacher, everyone, to have a look at the policy to know the directions in which education is going to go. And if you look at that, you'll see the severe dependence on the digital technology and digital learning that the policy is very rightly professing. And that is where National Digital Library has been playing a role for the last 5 years and would envision to play a very strong role in the coming decades. So with that background, let me come very specifically to a digital library. We have had Professor Mukhopadhyay, who was certainly focusing very strongly on the digitization process and so on. Of course, those are required. The fortunate part of some of these is, well, when it is true that being able to digitize is significantly also a question of resources that the West has in more plenty than we do. We are always resource crunched, but at the same time, the advantage of digital is that the digital is actually often much cheaper. So the way that things are going is not often that you need to have physical documents and then digitize them. But the question is, can you actually do the whole publication in digital, in which case it is a cost saver for everybody. And then it can be distributed in a much more cost-effective manner, much more ineffective manner. So digital library slowly is looking into all of those aspects, not only contents that are digitized from the physical form. So we say that there are contents which are kind of digitized from physical, but there is a severe amount of content which are born digital, and that's what is going to dominate the digital library space. But at the core of it, a digital library is a 24/7 enabled infrastructure. It is to cover all academic level from the very basic pre-nursery onto school levels, college, post-graduation, doctoral, lifelong learning, everything. It must cover all disciplines. Multiple languages is important for us. All domains of economy must be touched upon. The user interfaces must be provided in multiple languages for ease of understanding and use of the library, local language use. There should be specific user interface for differently abled users and so on and so forth. So there's a whole lot of objectives that the digital library has. And many of these objectives are generic, as Professor Mukhopadhyay was rightly pointing out what's happened in US and Europe for a long time. But at the same time, I must admit that what's happening in India today is also unparalleled in the world. India is leading in several ways because if US speaks 2 languages, English and Spanish, we speak 22 languages only officially. I mean, take offline, we are. So, while even the World Digital Library, driven by US, has 7 language interfaces. National Digital Library of India has already 10 language interfaces, and we are moving towards 20 language interfaces. India has the dubious distinction of being having the largest population of visually impaired citizens. So it's a big challenge for us in the digital library as well to provide user interfaces for the differently abled. So that's kind of is a vision. That's kind of what National Digital Library should cater to. The second aspect that I would like to mention, and that is when again I will borrow from the inspiration of Professor Mukhopadhyay, is how much of digitization we are talking about. Are we talking about digitization in the sense of having books in the PDF form, which are digital forms of books? Are we talking about articles in PDF form, newspaper in PDF form? Yes, we are talking about all of that. But we are talking a lot more beyond that, because the moment you take it to the digital space, you can bring in multimedia in the whole effect. That is, it is not limited to being text. It is, everything can be digitized now. So you can have video lectures by professors, you can have audio presentations, you have audio books, you have tutorials, you have lecture slides, you have different kinds of virtual experiments, simulations. The opportunities, the diversity of the type of content you can present in digital, the type of experience that you can give to the user in digital is enormously rich and wide. And that's what some of the glimpses you can see in the range of contents that we have. At present, National Digital Library of India has 70 plus different types of digital contents between, including content which are actually, active. Like you can have active test. You can test your proficiency. So you have a content which is interactive with you, which helps you really directly learn. Some of the very specific spatial things that are emerging in terms of the digital library space, and National Digital Library of India is taking a leadership not only in India but across the world, is several of you would know that data is becoming core to doing research. And that's not limited to doing research in artificial intelligence or computer science or engineering. Data is important everywhere. I mean, this one of the organizers of this webinar, I understand, is English department. And it is amazing that in the name of digital humanities, the amount of data-driven research that different language departments are taking up. Geography, needless to say, have been driven by data for ages. The fact that in recent times, it does rain when the forecast is there of a rain. Earlier when we were kids, we used to say if Alipur Met office say that it will rain, then you can rest assured that it is going to be a sunny day. That was also difficult to predict, but now if it says that it will rain at 4 o'clock, it rains at 4 o'clock. So how do you do that? You have done that by collating years and years of millions of data and making models. And that data-centric research, that data science, which geography is significantly relying on, are some of the pillars of today's library. I mean, you need these data sets. Unless data sets, you can't do research. You can't be effective to the work. You can't just do theory and sit down and do theory, maths, and then do experiments to prove that. I mean, in several ways, the theory is so complex that it will probably take another 200 years to understand that theory. But by using the data by examples, you may be able to derive a lot of facts that were otherwise not possible. My whole intention of spending time on talking on this is to give you a sense that it does make a, I mean, range of contents does make a lot of impact in terms of how the digital libraries work. So this is where I am, the National Digital Library of India. These are the basic facts about, we have about 5 crore content. And of that, about 3.5 crore, about 70% is open and free, which means that they are not only, paid references, as Professor Mukhopadhyay was afraid of. Yes, 1.5 crore are paid from the publishers. You'll have to pay the publisher if you have to access. But 70%, 3.5 crore, 35 million, that's not a small number, are contents which are contributed open and free by several institutions, by several publishers, by ministry departments, by open collections, OER, open educational resources, and so on. They are in about 300 plus languages, comes from about 270 sources, and as of now, we have 30 lakh registered users, though there are several unregistered open users as well. So I will not go through this again. I mean, I already talked about the objectives of a digital library. So NDL tries to meet all of that. It's a single window search and browse mechanism for finding out information that a learner needs, covers all academic levels, focusing on different domains for specific services in school, career development, law, medical, and so on, all types of different contents. And actually does all of that through I mean, it's just not technology that makes NDLI. Technology is just a part of it. What makes NDLI is a huge national and international collaboration. Working from IIT-Kharagpur, being supported by Ministry of Education, we are certainly the implementer, we are the maintaining agency, the designer of NDLI, but NDLI really is a huge collaboration of several institutions. As I mentioned, it's more than 200, 300 institutions who have put their hands together, who contribute, who allow their contents to be used by NDLI, to be brought to the different users so that users can actually get that. The contents do not belong to NDLI. They are all borrowed from partners, different universities, institutions, even I would request if Cooch Behar College would want to contribute content, they're free to do that. And often people ask that, what can we contribute? I mean, well, you can contribute things which you create. You are teaching every day, so there could be lecture notes which you can contribute. There could be question papers, there could be solutions, tutorials, assignments. There's so many things that can be contributed. It's not contribution in digital library does not necessarily mean books and published papers alone. I mean, they are important, but learning is a whole lot of bunch of things which everybody can contribute who are in the business. Now, before I go on to, go on in the further specifics of this, let me talk about some of the unique features of this library, National Digital Library of India. The first that I would like to mention is a single window multilingual search and access, which means that you can find out information from a single window search. So there are some 200, 300 different sources from where the content is coming. You don't have to go to that specific each and every source to find out the content. You search, browse in NDL, and you'll be able to find it. Now, when I say this, naturally the first reaction, at least mentally, of many of the audience would be, much of the audience would be, and some of them would be vocal, is, well, that's what Google does. What is the difference between NDLI and Google? It's Google does, and Google has been doing it for ages. Google does it so well. I mean, I agree. All of us. Like, I graduated, I don't know. Most of the audience, I'm sure, were not born. Even their parents were not married at that time. So from that time, what are I teach computer science at the state of the art level in the world. So what did I learn from? Certainly, I did not learn them while I did my degrees. I had to learn them later on. Every day, I have to learn new things in my discipline. Every one of us have to. Who is teaching, who is studying. So we learn from Google. That's true. But there is a difference. The difference is it takes quite a lot to find information from Google. You need to be really skilled to find information from Google. Let me take an example. Let us consider there are two students who need learning information. One is let's say, a girl at 8th standard, and another is a boy in the doctoral studies. So both of them need information on magnetism. Both of them are interested about magnetism. The girl in the 8th standard needs to know about magnetism, which means that she needs to know about, what is the meaning of magnetism, what is a bar magnet, the fact that there are two poles, north and south, the fact that similar poles repel and so on, the fact that if you put a bar magnet, put a paper, and sprinkle some iron dust, it will take certain patterns, flux patterns. So those are kind of things. The basic understanding of magnetism experiments is what the 8th standard student, the girl, is trying to find information. In contrast, the doctoral student, the boy, also wants information on magnetism because his interest is to do research in magnetism. So what the boy is looking for is, well, magnetism is nothing but a specific manifestation of a generalized field theory. He's looking for what has been the most recent Nobel Prize relating to this. What are the recent publications in Nature, Physics Review Letter, these kind of journals, and what is the latest view in terms of the unification of gravitational and magnetic field theories and so on. Both of them are on magnetism. But meaning-wise, desire-wise, vision-wise, they're asking for completely different sets of information. Now, they both go to Google and type magnetism. You can try, just go and try type magnetism. You get lakhs and lakhs and lakhs of pages. Now, the question is, who has seen on magnetism? Not the boy, who is looking for doctoral level content on magnetism. None of them will get that in the first few pages. So Google is great to find the information for a very, very practically infinite universal resource, but it's very inspecific. It does not care about who the user is, what the user needs. So you need to, so how do you solve the problem? How do we solve the problem? All of us do, is we try to, I would not say magnetism, I'll say magnetism for a standard. I'll say magnetism, experiments with bar magnets at an elementary level. So you have to innovate queries so that you get a specific answer. And that's where the sophistication of use come in. And that's where Google does not remain very effective as a tool to find learning content for students in general, learners in general. Now, what if we could customize the response to magnetism for these two students separately? That is, if the 8th standard student asks, then she will get more of the 8th standard answers. And if the doctoral student asks, he will get more of the research. Can this be done? Question is, how do you do that? Of course, one thought would be that, well, we'll put all details about the user, that she studies in this, she's been doing well in physical sciences, she has specific interest in physics, she's been consistently looking for information on different type forms of energy and so on. You can put all that information for the girl, put a whole lot of similar information for the boy, and can try to see, okay, what does match best between the background of the girl or the boy and what we are finding. Well, sounds good, practically impossible. First of all, could we have the audience muted? Okay, thank you. So okay, thank you.
Okay, sir, please continue.
Yeah,
Okay,
could you
sir,
mute?
please continue.
Actually, as an organizer, you can mute everybody. I mean, don't leave it to the users.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So now, what happens is why you cannot do such things as putting the entire biodata of the user. I mean, first of all, it's impractical to do in a large scale. Second is there are a lot of privacy issues. I mean, we are so uncomfortable talking about any specifics on general sites, and very legitimately so. And also often I do not really know what I know. That's a big question. I mean, do I really know what I know? To be able to say that this is what I need. That's a big question. And may sound like a philosophical question, but that's a very genuine question. And that is precisely where in traditional, in Sonel's orthodox system, we will need a teacher to be there, a teacher who figures out what you need. Now, how do you make a similar model in terms of a digital library? And that's what makes a single window search effective is you borrow on something which e-commerce has been doing for ages. I'm sure all of you use one or more or several of e-commerce sites for regular purchases, or at least for exploring what can be purchased. And if you are consistently using a site for a few times, 4 or 5 times purchasing at times, and then maybe just surfing and finding out information about products at different times, you'll find a lot of recommendations are being made to you. And if you observe those recommendations over a time carefully, you'll find that they are not irrelevant to your lifestyle. You may not be looking for those at that point of time, but they are relevant. You use them, or you use a variant of them. So that is kind of the model. I mean, just to explain you, that is the model that you do. How do the e-commerce site know? You haven't told them. They know because they do not look at who you are. It doesn't matter. What they look at is what you do. And you go to their site, you look at different products, you make different purchases, or you spend a lot of time reading about a certain product and so on, and they make an understanding of what you need. That exactly is a similar thing that we are trying to do in terms of the digital library context, where you track what the user is reading, on what videos does the user spend more time, what are the type of content that the user would just look at, or what are the content that they will download and use, what are the content they will print and so on, and gives you more and more of idea of what the user needs, and you make your model accordingly and tune your search according to this. So that's kind of philosophically what is the difference between Google and National Digital Library of India. So I made this explanation a little bit elaborate, particularly for my young friends, because they are so much on the digital, there's so much on the social media that they need to understand how does these things work and how can that be put to effective use for their purposes. Several of the other uniquenesses are quite evident. We have talked about spectrum of learners. We have talked about languages. We have talked about language interfaces. Personalization is what I was talking of, this story of the boy and the girl in magnetism, and so on. We have about 15,000 institutions who are participating. I mean, there are users from 15,000 institutions. I'm not sure if Cooch Behar College is a participating institution. If you are not, Sir, Professor Das and others, particularly Professor Debnath, the principal, sir, I'll request that please be in touch with us and get all your students and faculty registered as users in the NDLI. It is free for everybody, and it's a huge, huge benefit that everybody can earn. On the average, there are about 100,000, 1 lakh hits to this library, and a number of contents and all we talked about. And of course, as things move on, as you keep rolling, we gather some moss. So we got 2 awards on the way in the last couple of years as well. So this is how the NDLI look like. Left is the view on the internet, on the portal, which is what you get to see, and you'll see particularly, I'll draw your attention to 3 layers that we have here: study at home, COVID research repository, and featured collection. And what you see on right is the library on the mobile app. It is available on Android as well as iOS. Of course, Android usage is much higher. You can just go to Google Store or App Store and look for National Digital Library, download, and keep using. Or you can use it on the internet. That's what most people do. And you don't need to remember the URL. You can just go to Google for this and type National Digital Library of India. This comes on the top. Okay, so now what you see here are some of the structures that I'll talk more about as I go along. Study at home and COVID repository, which I'm almost done with the general background and philosophy of the National Digital Library of India and what you have, and I'll slowly get more specific about what's been happening in terms of COVID. How did so Professor Mukhopadhyay did mention about how can digital library really help and strengthen the whole learning environment in the context of COVID. So I'll talk more specifically on that after a while. Let me just complete the general stuff. So this is just a sample set of screens showing you the interface in multiple different languages. You change the language, everything in that screen changes. Metadata is part of the mechanism through which it works. Metadata is data about data. That is every content that we have. As I said, the contents are contributed by several others. And how do we find it out? So every content is described in terms of a set of fields, set of like author, keyword, subject, publisher, year of publication, etc. And there are more interesting fields also, like the educational level. Is this content meant for 8th standard? Is it meant for postdoctoral? Is it meant for doctoral research, and so on? So you talk about educational level, you can very well figure out that once we put this metadata, it becomes much easier to talk about that girl and the boy who needed to know about magnetism at 8th standard or magnetism at the doctoral level. Then there's metadata in terms of learning difficulty, learning time, how much time does it take to learn this, and so on. So all these descriptors, I mean, there's a completely separate, very detailed discussion on what this metadata design is, which is also very unique for National Digital Library of India, which is well appreciated, and how do you actually create the metadata for all these different types of contents and so on. But that kind of a discussion is primarily focused, is primarily meant for the library science students and faculty and librarians, professionals. So I'll skip that part. I'll keep it focused in terms of the actual learning experience that the user can get. So this is a kind of a profile of the free content. I knew that there is always the interest is in terms of the free content. So 3.5 crore free content has about 61 lakh books, about 1.77 crore articles, journals, thesis, video lecture, audio lecture. You name it, it is there almost that kind. Okay, now let me come specifically more towards what happened when COVID struck. So you can see, let me just in the bigger view explain what these layers mean. So there is one layer of cards at the top in the National Digital Library. As the name suggests, this kind of a presentation was created. The contents existed, everything was there, but this kind of presentation was created when COVID struck. Because when COVID struck in March, suddenly institutions stopped and people needed something to learn from. And so that's why this is called study at home. We did not think at that time that we will need to continue this for so long. We thought, okay, it's a month or two. But it seems like this is going to be probably a perpetual feature. So in this, there are different cards, which if you go in, you find specifics of learning content at that level. So there is school, there is contents for engineering, there is contents for science, there is specific for CBSE examination preparatory. So this was a time, I mean, just think about it, we're in March, and CBSE was sometime in June. So it was really a big question of how do these board candidates prepare themselves? They're not being able to go to school, they're not being able to go to coaching and all. So we collated a huge volume of content from, I mean, this was done within a month, less than a month, couple of weeks. We collated huge amount of free content from variety of sources, government projects, Kendriya Vidyalaya sites, different private educational sources which are giving things free and so on. So this study at home bar is primarily about studying on different areas of discipline for the students. Like you'll have humanities, literature, you'll have law and management and so on. So just to tell you a little bit more. So this is how, for example, the study at home, the school part, this leftmost, it's very small here, you're not being able to see, but it's actually school. School part says, so just expanding on, there are separate different video lectures. There is a lot for the JE preparation. JE finally happened, last week, but then it has been around that JE will have to happen. And so there are lots and lots of preparatory material for this, all open and free. Solutions to questions and answers of last 5 years of main examination and 12 years of JE advanced examination. These are all, I mean, these are not just collated from anywhere. These are actually solved by several students who have passed JE in the last couple of years, moderated, curated by several expert professors, subject matter experts, and presented in a very nice way. So you can say this is what we call NDLI tutor on IIT JE main. There's an NDLI tutor on IIT JE advanced, which people can use very well. I mean, these are meant for the school. So you can see on the right-hand side a very structured, hierarchical way of getting to the question. And then on a particular question, you can see what are the question, the answer keys, which are obviously any solution team will give that. But what is important are a couple of things. One is the way it is solved, which is often very smart. And also the insight of, for example, if there are 4 options, then often you don't actually need to consider, I mean, need to do the solution to decide what is the correct option. Many a times, you may just look at the options and do some quick analysis to say that, well, these 2 options can never happen. They're too obviously wrong. And that's typically what happens in MCQ. So we give some insights into that, to those kind of approaches, so that you can do things better in a faster way, and then a set of similar problems, reference material, and so on. So all of these are available to the school students, different video lectures. Exam Fear is a very beautiful collection of video lectures, short videos, just tell you, explains you the apparently difficult concepts in a very lucid manner. Then there are activity-oriented learning, things that you can do while you are at home or in school, kind of how to make a pyramid out of paper and scale, and then actually how to measure what its volume going to be, and just make sure that you learn your formula of volume of pyramid by hands-on experience, project-based learning, very good. Then study of at home has a lot for the college students of different disciplines. Engineering's a lot. NPTEL lectures, which are engineering lectures of Swayam, about 100,000, nearly 100,000 such lectures are available in a very organized manner, depending on what area you want to learn on. Now, so there are several, I mean, you just, I'm sorry, I could not specifically make certain samples, show you certain sample collections on geography or English. And of course, I'm sure that hundreds of students attending, they must not all be from these 2 departments, only there'll be students from all departments. So I just would encourage that you go to those, study at home tabs here. That as you can see on this, the orange tabs here, and go to your broad area and look for specifics. And no matter which subject you are from, you'll find a lot of learning opportunities there. I'll move on to the second layer here in the middle, which is COVID research repository, which is a very, very interesting idea that we promote, that we have been promoting. When COVID started taking over, soon it was clear that it's not something like Ebola or bird flu or dengue, which will happen somewhere and go away. It's going to change the life. It's not about the virus and the vaccine and the cure, but it's a change in the style, in the way we live, way we survive, the way the economy runs. So COVID has impacted every field of life, whether it is transportation, whether it is healthcare, whether it is banking, whether it is education. Without COVID, we would not be doing this webinar, plain and simple. But it is so effective, so easy to do, so many people benefiting from the discussion. We could have done earlier, but in earlier times, I know what would have happened. Coach Behar College would have approached us that why not have a seminar done there. Then we'll say, okay, going to Coach Behar, coming back. It's a 2-hour seminar. It will take us 3 days to do. Let's see when we can find all of these. And then finally, in the auditorium, 150 students can fit in. But now, if some couple of hundred are attending, we are talking, I did not have to move anywhere. So there are a lot of effectiveness that is also coming in. COVID is not only negative, but it's also telling us, to do things differently. I'll end this presentation with some, analysis of how COVID has actually changing our thought process. But what I meant in this COVID research resource repository is there is a severe need to do research in every discipline, every area because of COVID impact. No matter whether it's English, it's geography, it's banking, or it is transportation. Everywhere there is an impact and there needs to be. And when you do this research, what is that you need? The traditional view of digital library would be scholarly publications, what others have done. And that's what he says is a resource for research. Of course it is. Of course, but to today's time. In a time where the research has to be output driven, output oriented, it is not enough to just have scholarly publications, not have books. You need a 360-degree research resource. That is, besides scholarly publications, you need to know what the data sets are. Again, no matter which discipline you are in, you got impacted. So you need to have the data on which people have worked. You need to have the data in your area, in your specialization, in your related areas, and so on. So data, several hundreds and hundreds of data sets annotated in several different ways are being opened up for use. Then you need documents and videos that are being published from very authentic sources. I'm not talking about general television reports or, media chats. I'm talking about reports coming from NIH, from ICMR, so on, so all that you need. Now, if you are a researcher, if you're doing all this, you're doing a research, your next subsequent question is, what do I publish? So you need information on what are the journals that are coming out on COVID, what are the special issues COVID is, journals are doing on to propagate this in COVID impacted research areas, what are the specific conferences on this, where all the ideas are being challenged, where all funding are being opened, where is the startup opportunities, so on. So 360-degree of research is what you need to know on. And that's a role that a digital library can very effectively play, going well beyond the issues which are just limited to digitization. It's a service. Digital library is a service of learning, is a way of learning, it's a way of research, it's a way of going forward. And that's what we have been trying to do. We launched this sometime in April. This has been highly appreciated by different research communities in India, and has been doing. We have been, enhancing it on a regular basis. So just go and have a look. The third row that you saw of the cards here, I'll go back to the view. The third row you saw are the featured collections, which are a whole lot of other things. This is not only about going to school and college or doing research on COVID, but there are a lot of users of general interest. So we have certain featured areas, like we have a centenary card where very, appropriately Satyajit Ray is featured for this year. And we are very proud to say that Satyajit Ray did 39 films. And this 39 films, he made the film scripts, which are kind of called the Red Book or the Keror Khata. Very, very elegantly, brilliantly done in a non-conventional way. And National Digital Library of India is the only collection where these are available in the digitized form. Courtesy, the permission from his son, Mr. Shondeep Rai, has allowed us to do that. So, and there are several others, like there are, stories from Agdojon Goppo or Ebaro Baro, which you will learn was originally published in English, maybe 15 years before it came in Bangla. It was published in Amrita Bajar Patrika, something which is not published in, discontinued for a long. So we have old issues of Amrita Bajar Patrika related to Satyajit Ray, where he used to write stories in English. So very interesting things on this day, person of the week, different kind of things, which will, if you are generally interested reader, you will benefit from this. So that's kind of what the National Digital Library is overall about, and what the way we have structured it in terms of learning. I'll take another 5-6 minutes to talk specifically about transformational education in the context of COVID. Just to take a view on the tone that Professor Mukhopadhyay said, that it is true that it has been ages when digital library actually started. So this is where I try to look at how does things change in life. In the context, this is specifically in the context of digital library. So I've taken 2 parameters for this analysis study. You may disagree with this analysis completely. This is not taken from anyone. This is purely my personal view, but that's what I have experienced. So I said that there are 2 parameters which decide how we do our systems. One is the parameter of planning. We do a lot of planning to do things. That's MHRD, Ministry of Education, now a lot of planned programs, that's that. And the other is the aspect of disruption. Because if you are making some change, if you're doing plans to make some changes, which will make your things better, then naturally in terms of doing that, you have to disrupt what is presently there. So there is always a question of how much you disrupt and how much you plan. So what is the most conservative way you do things, and that is what we do, is we would like to plan a lot. So, okay, not planning is not good. So you should plan, you should think about what will happen if that fails, what will happen if that eventuality goes wrong. And so you'll do a whole lot of planning. And what will you plan for? You'll plan for list disruption. You'll plan for list disruption. You do not want to change. You do not want to get impacted in an adverse way. You want things to improve. But you also want the comfort of things remaining as they were. The disruption we don't need. So high planning and low disruption is what is a typical behavior through which we live. Right? So that's you can completely disagree. It's my absolutely personal view in analysis. And I'm looking through at the digital library evolution through these glasses. So let us look at the time Professor Mukhopadhyay was talking about, the pre-digital library, the early digital library time, where naturally there was no disruption. Things were just slowly happening, coming in, digital collections coming in, only within the network, not on the internet, just you can have to come to the library, access things which are digital and so on. So some things happening, but primarily things remain physical books, you had physical spaces, books and journals operate through issue return mechanism, you have cataloging, you have referencing, reference library and academic libraries, public libraries is a pre-digital library and subsequently very early digital library time, right? There was no planning required because we were not proactively doing anything. There was no disruption because things were just moving away. Then obviously over the next couple of decades, maybe earlier in the West and later in India, but certainly faster in India, because anybody who starts running late has to run faster. So we are running much faster than the West did. So that is what I call the pre-COVID digital library time. COVID did not happen, but there was a distinct approach towards doing digital library, whether it's National Digital Library of India or it is digital library at several academic institutions, academic libraries being digitized, being put on the web, and so on. And things started changing from, a lot of digital books coming in, multimedia content coming in, catalog getting replaced by search and browse, issue return getting replaced by access anytime, anywhere, and so on. And what happens is, on top of that, derivative services start happening. Now that you have this all in digital, you have distance learning, you have online learning, you have MOOCs, you have flipped classroom, you have learning management system, virtual accreditation kind of things coming in. But if we look through that, 20 years in India, we've been doing this, at least 20 years. NPTEL started in 2003. Before that, we had, physical forms of electronic dissemination, VHS tapes, then pen drives. Those used to happen in late 90s. So it's more than 20 years that we have been talking about digital learning, digital education, digital library. Lot of planning has gone in, slow, high level of planning, high investment, all of that. And always the focus was non-disruptive. Keep on doing what you are doing and then add something. Add 2 courses which you can do in. You are not talking about doing a complete graduation program on digital. You're talking about, add 1-2 course which your university may not be able to offer, and the university in Delhi is being able to offer, so you take that. So low disruption, high planning. Now you get COVID. Somebody gives you COVID. Black swan moment, as they say, for education. The institutions get closed, students back to home, examinations cancelled, conferences called off, everything in a matter of 7 days, your whole world has changed. Where did you get time to plan? No time to plan. You didn't plan anything. It's not possible to plan anything. Planning comes down to low, very low. Disruption is the highest. Everything that we knew works doesn't work anymore. You have to find out a way to survive. There is a surge of use. You innovate by going on to online classes, online evaluation, online conferences, digital library, digital learning comes at the center of learning. So you can see that, as you go from pre-digital to the pre-COVID digital, you have been planning a lot without disruption, and then you are pushed by COVID into on-COVID digital, which does not allow you to plan, gives you a lot of disruption, but you come up with solutions which are really proving to be effective. And of course, nobody has seen the future. I haven't either, but this is how I perceive. If there is a post-COVID, or I do not know, maybe it is co-COVID. We have started about talking about new normal, that is COVID. We'll not have a time when COVID will not be there, but we'll learn to live with COVID. And what we expect in that is certainly the disruption will continue to happen, because we have learned that we have to make things significantly different to survive, but the planning will also be high because we will get time. And we'll have digital libraries for knowledge in action. We'll have access for all, democratization, NEP, National Education Policy, is severely talking about rural libraries, broadband, access of K-12, all of these, high level of disruption, and that needs planning for democratizing through the connectivity, open knowledge, accreditation, open space for interactions, and so on. So probably COVID has taught us a lesson of kind of how to balance, right? The mission of the library itself is changing. Like you need, for example, for e-learning, you need to do a quiz on the Moodle. So, one view could be that could be a part of the library service, but you need that, because without that, the e-learning cannot happen. Right. So it certainly needs a whole lot of enhanced digital library services for the e-learning to be effective at a scale. That's what I'm talking.
Okay, sir. So the next question is by Preet Sharma, and she is asking that for an educational institution, which open source softwares are best for starting a digital library?
It's we so far at the back we so far use DSpace. So it depends on the requirements that you have. In terms of content management, it's usually DSpace. But if you are really asking this because you want to start one, I would suggest that you get in touch with us. We have experts who can tell you exactly what you need. But there are several open and free solutions available.
Okay, sir. Sir, next question is by Dhananjay Patra, and sir is asking that please tell about scholarly publications like SCI, SSCI journals are available in NDLI.
Yes, there are several journals available, but please, Dhananjay, please don't get misled. As you go to these journals, most of them are not open and free. Most of them are open up to just the abstract, because these are most of these SCI journals are publisher content, so therefore they need to be paid for. So either so there is an ESS body who decides as to which journals are paid for, what universities get. Your vice chancellor and principal sir would be able to tell you what journals are in your college's subscription. Beyond that, things cannot be free because these are publisher paid content. So several of them you will find. For example, you'll find a whole lot of IEEE. I do not know which area you are from, which discipline you are from, but you'll find a significant amount of Springer contents. You'll find IEEE contents. You'll find some Elsevier contents. You'll find academic press contents, but majority of them are priced. They are not free.
Okay, sir. Thank you. The next question is by Chanel Shom ma'am, and she is asking that can we access different libraries through this digital library system inside the country or outside or abroad?
It depends on if that other library has allowed us to be integrated. So there are several who have allowed us. So if you go to the site and keep trying, there is a browse by source. You'll see an option browse, and in that you try by source. You'll find all the different libraries who have allowed integration. So those you'll be able to use. For example, say IIT Delhi library, IIT Bombay library. These are only digital contents that are free. You do not search. Is searching the books in that library. We are also working on making that kind of a system, which is kind of a physico-virtual system, where you'll be able to search books in a different library. That will come in sometime by the end of this year. But as of now, all search of integrated libraries are for their digital, open and free content. And you just go there, you'll find several of them in the country as well as several which are from outside. It depends on who allows. It's a philanthropy. Education is philanthropy. Education cannot be. Whoever allows,
Okay, sir.
they are integrated.
Sir, what kind of materials are available there regarding what area of researches are available there?
Means?
What kind of research materials are available there?
What do you mean by kind?
What kind means? I mean the area of researches.
All.
All areas are available.
That was. Maybe whoever asked was not listening to the presentation in the beginning, because that's what I said is a basic motto. It has to be all disciplines. Now, of course, all disciplines will never get equally represented. There is engineering, there is science, there is physics, there is chemistry,
Yes.
there is mathematics, there is English, there is Hindi, there is geography, there is Ayurveda, there is law, everything. But of course, some have more content, some have less content.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, may I go to the next question, sir?
Yeah, please.
Okay, sir. Sir, the next question is asked by Nurul Islam, sir, and he is asking that a large number of Indian journals fail to include in UGC care list. So, what is or are the cause or causes that, and how to mitigate the problems?
Sir, this is not in the scope of the digital library decision. So I do not think I can comment on this. Particularly, UGC KLS is, I'm not a part of the UGC system because I'm at IIT, so I'm an autonomous institution. So I'm not very informed of that either. If you need more information on that, you can write to me. I can get you directed towards people who deal with this, but I'm not a competent person to comment.
Okay, sir. The next is a request by Pratima Basu, and ma'am is asking to show how can we register in NDLI and how we can get different materials.
Go there and register. That's it. In today's time, I'm sure nobody here needs to be taught as to how to register to a digital site. Go to register, put in your name and email address and whatever other details you want to. You'll get registered. In fact, you can search and access the site even without registration, but we advise to register so that you can get better services.
Sir, any institutional affiliation is required, is mandatory, or we can self-register?
You register yourself.
Okay, sir.
All that is required is to have a valid email address to which a validation code will be sent. So
okay, sir.
On that code, you will be validated. But I did mention that I'm requesting Cooch Behar College to register as an institutional partner so that all of their students and teachers can be registered in one go. Nobody has to individually go and register. That is a very nice mechanism to itself. If you write to us, we will depute someone to work with you and get this done. I'll request Principal Sir to depute someone to do that.
Okay,
that is a nice proposal, sir. We will go for it.
Sure.
Sir, Bhagyashree Chatterjee ma'am is asking that mainly what are the advantages of this and how we can be benefited from the digital library?
I think that is what was my first 3 slides as to when I talked about what does a digital library mean. It's anytime, anywhere. It certainly is a lot more affordable than anything else. You are not being able to access any physical library now, right? But you can access NDL. So that's advantage enough. And then obviously it is a lot more cost effective because the majority of contents can be shared among several people without any additional cost. And finally, it can provide a lot of services which general libraries cannot provide because it is, again, brick and mortar is not possible at that scale.
Okay, sir. So, Shubhadeep Goswami is asking that will we get Indian English literature more in future?
Yes, of course. And if you have references, there's a lot of English literature in the library, as I understand. I'm not a man of English, though. But if you come across any source, not only in English, in any area, where there is open educational content, content which are open and free, just let us know. We will contact that source and get that integrated. We do that on a regular basis. Because certainly you will understand that for some of us, it's not impossible to know about what are the good sources in different disciplines. So please let us know. We will do that. But as of now, I'm pretty sure there's a good amount of English literature also available.
So the last one is again a request. The Dhananjay Patra sir is requesting you to tell about the software training program and machine learning video program.
There are a number of. You primarily look for NPTEL inside that. NPTEL has several such videos on machine learning, on artificial intelligence, on programming in different languages, in different software training. Like, since I'm from computer science, I run three courses every semester in NPTEL on software training, on C++, on database, on object-oriented systems, and so on. So all of these you will be able to find under NPTEL in India.
Okay, sir. That's all, sir. Thank you very much for being with us. Thank you so much. Tapan, sir, over to you.
Over to Sonil Shom. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Professor Parthapratim sir. It was very knowledgeable and very much informative to us, as I asked you a few questions also, and I got my answers. Thank you, sir. And thank you, sir, for being with us and for sharing your knowledge. And now I would like to request Mr. Tariqul Islam, Post-Graduation Department of English of Cooch Behar College, to present his vote of thanks.
Okay. Yes. Hello. Am I audible? Sonal,
Yes, sir. You
am
are
I
audible.
audible?
Yes. You are audible, sir.
Okay. So, warm and graceful good afternoon to everybody, to our most beloved dignitaries and organizing committee, worthy teachers, and my dear students, and everyone gathered on this platform. A very warm and graceful good afternoon to you. It's my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of all those who worked really hard to make this webinar a successful one. Now, I, on behalf of Cooch Behar College and the entire fraternity of the institution, first of all, express my most sincere thanks to the Almighty God for making this today's event a resounding success. With His blessings and grace, we have been able to make this webinar what it was really. On behalf of the organizing committee, I also take this opportunity to express my deep sense of gratitude to our chief patron, Professor Devkumar Mukherjee, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Cooch Behar Panchanan Burma University, who spared some valuable time for us from his highly busy schedule to grace this occasion. I would also like to extend my warm sense of appreciation to our chief guest, Dr. Abdul Qadir Safeli, Registrar, Cooch Behar Panchanan Burma University, who unfortunately could not attend this event today, but who always unfailingly respond to the invitation of Cooch Behar College to grace any occasion with his benign presence. Now, I would also like to express my hearty thanks to our most honorable, eminent, and distinguished resource person, Dr. Parthapratim Das, who is a joint principal investigator of National Digital Library of India, IIT-Kharagpur, and also he is a professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT-Kharagpur. We have been very much blessed by his wonderful, thought-provoking, enlightening, enriching, engaging speech. Your thoughts, sir, have enlightened our minds and shown us a new path. Really, in this COVID-19 situation, which almost in every aspect of our life has been thrown out of gear, you have shown us how this digital library, especially e-learning, can help us, which is very much cost-effective and anytime, anywhere access. Now, I would also like to especially thank our beloved and respected principal, sir, Dr. Pankaj Kumar Debnath, who has always been instrumental and acted like a catalyst that stimulated us to do our best, who always stood among us like pillars of strength. And it is he who acted like a linchpin of our college, and without his constant support and encouragement, inspiration and blessing guardianship, such event would have been completely unthinkable, unimaginable, and inconceivable. Thank you, sir, once again, and hope you will go on encouraging and inspiring us in future as well. Now, I would also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Binay Sharma, the organizing secretary of this webinar and librarian of our college, for his constant involvement and willingness to take on the completion of his task. Now, an event like this can't happen overnight. The wheels of such event start rolling weeks ago. It requires constant planning and a bird's eye for details. We have been very much fortunate enough to be backed by such a person who has been extremely proactive, dedicated, devoted, energetic, and workaholic. So there is no guess for prize. There is no prize for guessing. You can guess who this person is. A special credit goes to Dr. Tapan Kumar Das, who is convener of this event and also coordinator PG Department of Geography, who work day in and day out, shouldering the responsibility alone for making this gala webinar a successful one. I am really short of words for him. And also a special credit goes to two principal pillars of our college who always shoulder the responsibility of our college, and without whose support, I think the building of Cooch Behar College will crumble down. Professor Abhijit Roy, our Honorable Barsa, and Honorable GB member, and also head of the Department of Commerce, Professor Abhijit Roy, and also TCS. Another pillar is TCS, Teachers Council Secretary, Professor Munimoy Chakraborty, who are the two pillars of Cooch Behar College, who like Atlas already shoulder the building, and like a Hercules, always shoulder the responsibility of all the almost Herculean task of our college. Last but not the least, a big thank you to all the stakeholders, teachers, well-wishers, participants, and students who worked behind the scene and have been involved directly or indirectly with this webinar. Thank you all for your rock solid support and encouragement to help this webinar to come to its fruition. Thank you so much for participating in this webinar. Finally, I would like to tender my sincerest apology to those who might have been mistakenly missed out of my mention. I really beg your forgiveness, reminding you the proverb that to err is human. No human being is infallible, so I am also fallible. It is natural for human beings to make mistakes, and this mistake on my part, I must admit, has been completely inadvertent and unwilling. So if I miss out willingly or unwillingly somebody's name for mentioning in this webinar who have been directly or indirectly involved for making this success, I am really extending my sincerest apology to them. So I would like to especially thank those whose names I forgot to mention. Thank you once again, and thank you all, sir. Yeah, that's all. Now over to you, Sonal madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's a very nice speech of vote of thanks. Yes, sir. Yes, please. Please, you continue, sir. Tapan sir.
We will be missing if we miss to thanks to Tariqul Islam who actually offered us the vote of thanks. Thank you, Tariqul
Exactly.
Islam.
I was trying to say that, and it was nice and nice words from you. It really appreciated us, and so we are at the verge of this webinar now. So I would like to request Professor Dr. Tapan Kumar Das to wind up the session over here. And my sincere gratitude and thanks to all the dignitaries, especially Dr. Parthopratim Das and all the participants. I pay my regards and best wishes to you. And now I'm waiting for the next venture to come, and let's meet there. So thank you from me. And I would request Professor Dr. Tapan Kumar Das to wind up the session over here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sharing your knowledge and long time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. It was excellent. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you. Bye.
Now the session is closed.